I'm Ann Dart.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
Hello, and welcome to the 87th episode of It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club. On today's episode, we will have another installment of our In Agatha's Footsteps. We will feature an interview with Navada Barr.
Navada Barr is an author best known for her Anna Pigeon series of mystery novels set in national parks. Although Barr was born in Nevada, she was not named after her state of birth, but after a character in one of her father's favorite books. Barr created the Anna Pigeon series while she was working at her second seasonal job as a park ranger at the Guadalupe Mountain National Park in Texas. The books take place in various national parks where Pigeon solves murders that are often related to natural resource issues. She shares some life experiences with the author, such as working in a national park as a ranger and having a husband who worked in the theater in New York City.
What Rose forgot is a standalone mystery. Rose Dennis wakes up in a hospital gown, her brain in a fog, only to discover that she's been committed to an Alzheimer's unit in a nursing home. With no memory of how she ended up in this position, Rose is sure something is very wrong. When she overhears one of the administrators saying about her that she's not making it through the week, Rose is convinced that if she's to survive, she has to get out of the nursing home. She avoids taking her medication, putting on a show for the aides, then stages her escape. The only problem is, how does she convince anyone that she's not actually demented?
Welcome, Navada.
Hello, and I'm so excited to meet you. You are one of my very favorite authors.
Thank you, Anne. Makes my day.
I can't wait to read the new book. It's going to be a little different, isn't it?
It's completely different. After I'd written lots and lots of Anna Pigeons, I kind of got to where I was running out of steam and I needed a rest. And so I kind of took a break for a bit. And then Rose came to me kind of like Venus on the half shell. Joy to write.
That's great. You started out your career in drama and the theater. What drew you to writing and specifically the mystery genre?
I'm not quite sure because I have always written. I wrote an autobiography when I was 7 that Mama gave me a few years back. It, of course, was very short. I think better with a pen in my hand. So I have always written short stories as a little kid, and the theater factored into it perfectly because theater is nothing but a study of dialogue and emotions and dramatic art. So putting the two together worked really well for me.
How did you come up with the character of Anna Pigeon? Is she based on you or a real person?
She is based on me, or was. I was working as a backcountry ranger in Guadalupe Mountains National Park. I was alone a lot because a backcountry ranger is alone a lot. And I was tracking lions. And this story came to me. And so I wrote the first one. And I'd never been a big mystery reader, and I didn't write it to be a series. Then it got published and was doing well, and they asked me to write a second one. And then I realized I had, by dumb luck, stumbled into the perfect series setup.
Yes, you did. One thing that comes through all your books is your love of location. The park becomes a character in its own right in the story. Is there a national park you have not visited, but you want to put in your books?
Oh, yeah. I've just barely scraped the surface. I haven't even been to Alaska. Man, Hawaii volcanoes really beckons to me. In the cauldron, possibly.
How do you plan your stories? Do you write your character, the setting, or the story first?
I kind of let it grow because I tried outlining things and it was like the English assignment from hell. So I know where it's going to be because that's a place I'm interested in. And of course with Anna, I know who my character is going to be. And then I know what the crime is going to be. And sometimes I know who did it. But sometimes I'm wrong. Like halfway through Blind Descent, I thought, oh my gosh, he's innocent. So the story sort of helps me flow along because the more you write, And the more you write, the better you think.
Wonderful. You have, I believe, 19 Anna Pigeon books?
18 or 19, yeah.
What's next for Anna?
Well, I would like her to be a superintendent. She might have to be an assistant superintendent either at Grand Canyon or Hawaii volcanoes, depending on which park I can get to play with me.
Very good. Can you tell us a little bit about your new book?
I would love to introduce you guys to Rose. She's a woman about 68 years old, and she comes to through a series of events, and she's in a lockdown memory care unit. And she can't remember how she got there, and she's not thinking it all well, but she has the strong impression that this is not where she needs to be. And so she has to focus on getting her mind back and then getting herself out of this memory care lockdown unit. And then, of course, finding out who did it and why, who put her there. And it was something that kind of came up from various points of view in my life, where I realized old people put in memory care, you can kill them at will, man.
That's one way of putting it. When you write a book like What Rose Forgot, do you plan your ending first or let the story run its course and then put it together?
I let the story run its course. And the downside, I mean, every writer does different things. But since I do that, there's a lot of cutting when I'm done. As you know, a lot of stuff is superfluous or it doesn't focus where you want to go. So I'll end up cutting quite often 50 to 60 pages after it's done to tighten everything up. It usually suggests itself as the story unfolds and you get to know the bad person and you get to know the crime better and you get to know the lay of the land, you know. Writing about it's how I see it.
Very good. What advice would you give to an author just starting out in today's publishing world?
I could not give a drop of advice about being published because I'm old school. We sent in pages in boxes, you know. But my idea is, and actually I get this from James Crumley, who is a crusty writer, and said the most important thing for a young writer is to put their butt in the chair. You've just got
just keep going, huh?
Yep, you just keep on writing. And if it's bad, you throw it in the back of the closet and you write something else. It's like John Wayne. Eventually, you're a really good actor, you know?
Exactly. You just published What Rose Forgot. When can we see the next Anna Pigeon?
I'm thinking a year to 18 months if all goes well. 3 or 4 years if I get an attack of sloth.
Sounds like you don't use it as a job. You write when you feel like it.
It was a job for about 20 years. A wonderful job. Absolutely loved it. And now it's my favorite hobby.
Well, that's great. Do you have any upcoming events or anything you'd like our listeners to know about?
I just finished my tour, and I've got one more signing in Ashland, Oregon. My birthday's March 1st if they want to send gifts.
Well, happy birthday prematurely. That's wonderful. Well, we have loved talking to you today. Thank you for taking time to join our little podcast, and we wish you all the best, and I can't wait to go read What Rose Forgot.
Thank you, Anne. I so hope you like it.
All right. Well, thank you. You enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you, Anne.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to Navada, getting some insight into her Anna Pigeon series, which is one of my favorites.
I agree. I really enjoyed the Anna Pigeon books that I have read, but this is a departure from Anna Pigeon, and it is unique in that it is about an older woman. Rose is in her 60s.
And it doesn't take place in a national park for one of the books.
It's definitely a departure for Navada. She did a wonderful job.
Yes, she did.
This is an adventure from the very beginning. It starts out with suspecting that Rose is an unreliable narrator.
Well, you think she's a dementia patient. So
exactly.
You think she's paranoid. So
right.
She thinks people are against her.
So you can't trust her throughout the first part of the book. But then she escapes, which is amazing. Now, Rose is an older woman. Like we said, she's in her late 60s.
Young kid.
To some. But she is an avid yoga practitioner, so presumably before she wound up in the Alzheimer's unit, she was in fairly good shape and she took care of herself. She's a Buddhist. She eats well. So, you kind of think, well, she had it going on before she wound up there.
Definitely.
So she's able to escape, and then the drugs wear off, and you do see that she is thinking clearly. She is not an unreliable narrator.
Somebody has slapped her in the hospital and wants to get rid of her.
Oh, yes.
As easy as possible without casting suspicion.
Well, what's really kind of disconcerting about this, especially me, because I have no children, how easy it might be to have someone lock you up and say you're demented.
Well, even your children could do that. Don't even
true.
think about it. It does happen. And a lot of families, Uncle Joe starts acting a little strange. Okay, it's time for him to go to the home. They have them committed. And how do you prove you're not nuts?
It goes a little deeper than that, too, because in this case, she wasn't even there.
She had been acting strangely, but her husband had just passed away very recently.
So she had reason.
She must know someone in her family or her acquaintance that has gone through dementia of some kind, because her descriptions were spot on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you really thought this woman was demented, that she was mentally unstable, unable to take care of herself, and belonged in an institution.
And then the drugs were off. She becomes
lucid.
Besides lucid, she's a heck of a detective. She's trying to figure out what happened, how they got to her, who it is.
Well, this is a fun book to read. It's a great story.
And if you've never read the Anna Pigeon series, definitely go check those out. Those are, first of all, you learn a lot about the national parks.
Yes, you do.
A great mystery to boot.
You can find Navada at her website, www.navadabarr.com.
And every once in a while, Anne gives us an amazing book report, and this is one of those times. So take it away, Anne.
The book we're discussing today is Murder Knocks Twice by Susanna Calkins. This is the first mystery in her Speakeasy series, and it takes the readers into the dark, dangerous, and glittering underworld of 1920s Chicago. It's January 1929. Gina Ricci has been looking for a job, and jobs are very scarce in Chicago. Gina's father has been repairing electrical appliances and radios, but his failing health means that he's no longer able to work, and Gina needs to find a job to pay the rent and put food on the table for them. One day, she's out shopping at the grocery store, and she runs into her friend Lulu, who she hasn't seen in years. Lulu now works for the Third Door. It's a speakeasy, and she tells Gina that the club is looking for a cigarette girl and that she should go immediately and apply for the job. Gina meets with the owner, Signora Castellazzo, and immediately finds herself the newest cigarette girl at the Third Door. And Gina is happy to help her father and to prove to herself that she can hold her own at Chicago's most notorious speakeasy. She's enchanted by the gorgeous life she discovers, from beautiful socialites drinking bootleg cocktails to the rowdy servicemen playing poker in the back room. The staff buzzes with whispers that Gina's predecessor died under mysterious circumstances, and the photographer, Marty, warns her to be careful. For the most part, she likes the job. She's amazed at how easily the speakeasy can be converted into a reputable business, and how its patrons can be ushered to safety when the police raid the joint. One evening, Gina's in the alley behind the speakeasy when she hears a disturbance. As she follows the noise, she comes across the brutally beaten body of Marty. As she bends down to talk to him, he reaches inside his coat, hands her his camera, and his dying words were, "Keep this safe and trust no one." She believes there must be something incriminating on the roll of film that's in the camera, but how will she get the film developed?
it, and can she get it done before someone finds out that she has it? I really enjoyed this historical series. It's well plotted. There's well-developed characters. I love this series. I'm always looking for new historical mysteries to add to my to-read list, and this one does a great job of bringing that whole era and location of Chicago and the Speakeasy experience to life. I definitely recommend you pick up this book. Susanna Calkin writes historical mysteries. Her first series, the award-winning Lucy Campion series, is set in 1770.